Welcome to Season 2 of Why Your Business is Invisible Online. This season, we focus on the dramatic change artificial intelligence is having on your online visibility. Joining me are my two co-hosts, and here they are.
Hi, this is Jim Filatico. I'm currently obsessed with planning my next beach adventure for my whole family.
Hi, I'm Kelly Biggs. We're talking about AI this season. I'm wondering, can I get an AI agent to clean my house?
And I'm your host, John Manatis, still glued to my guitar, but with my new band planning our next tour.
I love the fact that we're going a little tactical. We're on this path now, so let's dive a little deeper. One of the questions I've been getting a lot lately is, how does my company show up on AI? So they just generalize AI.
Yeah.
Some of them go a little deeper and they say, well, how do I rank on ChatGPT versus Perplexity versus Claude? And I said, okay, that's a little deeper. So I don't know how much we know of the differentiating tactics between ChatGPT and Perplexity, for example. One might want different things to put you on the top 10 list than another, and maybe all three of them have common things that they look at. And so is there any way you can help us with our clients to give them the tips on how to show up on all three?
All right.
Okay, go for it.
I'm eager to get in there. You can tell.
Go for it, yeah.
All right. So optimizing for ChatGPT search. Optimize for Bing. That's the search provider for ChatGPT, right? So we know the difference between Google and Bing. Bing looks for a lot more social signals. So, you want to be a little bit more across the spread. You want to make sure you're on multiple social channels and that sort of stuff and getting good signals there. Google, it can optimize for itself, Well, but then it's YouTube, it's Google Images.
That's right.
Yep. This is classic stuff. What's the top search engine in the world? Google. What's the second top search engine in the world? YouTube. What's the third top search engine? Google Images. Okay, so then all the rest. So you got to optimize for those things if you want to optimize for their AI derivatives, so to speak. But Perplexity, they do their own. I think they're ex-Googlers, so I don't know. But really it's about relevance, recency, and answer questions, and really knowing your customer and their problems, their pain points, their aspirations, and writing content that connects with that, and driving domain authority. So traditional SEO, content clusters, content pillars really aren't going to become an authority. And it's a staircase. Is that the number one thing that I see wrong is that people go after what I would call the big keywords before they've earned their stripes. It's a bit like going into a gym and starting off lifting 500 pounds. You don't. You have to work your way up.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
And so that's why they need great strategists, people to work there and say, look, you're a new domain. You haven't got much content. Let's go for these long tail keywords that don't have that much competition.
Right.
Let's work there. I'd rather get you 5 clicks, 10 clicks than no clicks.
Exactly.
Right. The wins.
Yeah. Vanity metrics or
and they don't lead to traffic.
Right.
And you want keywords that lead to money.
Well, that's it.
Most people, or it's what I would call money keywords. So, but it's like those longer tail keywords that might not be so contested, or new trending keywords. I mean, a classic sort of statistic that you need to know is that 15% of searches are brand new every day.
Yes.
So if you're not tracking what's happening on social, Reddit or Google Trends or something like that, or breaking news and build up some authority around new stuff, it doesn't have to be always the big 800-pound gorilla. If you were fighting somebody bigger than you wouldn't try and hit them on the chin. You will kick them in the ankle.
That's
right, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, or somewhere else.
So that's how it is with marketing. You've got to be a little bit creative. That's why you need, dare I say it, professionals, people that will come in, look at you holistically, and sort of size you up with the right strategy to get the results and to build domain authority. You know, and that's why SEO takes longer. But once you've built that authority over time, it's like a cash machine.
Yes,
Right.
yeah. I think the three of us are pretty good at going for the lower hanging fruit when we kick off with a new client, and we don't go for the hard to reach. Yeah, exactly.
But it's a
makes
common error. You see it, you know, when we pick up clients that haven't been well managed.
Yes.
You will see that their content is driving for these unobtainable keywords to them because they haven't built up that authority yet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had a client last year where like we'd spend a lot of time going after the longer tail keywords that were very high intent. And she was really pleased about the quality of leads she was getting. Somebody had called in trying to unhook me, and they were like, "Oh, she needs to rank for." It was really high level keyword. It was massages. I've talked about this client before, but they were like, "You need to rank for massages," and I was like, "No, you don't." Like she's like, "No, but the volume for massages is like 7,000 searches a month, and I'm missing out on them." I'm like, "Right, but you're getting people who are interested in sports massages or fibromyalgia, like
Near me.
specific things." Right. And so
she's got a domain authority of 2.
yeah.
So you know, it's look. These are money keywords. These are high intent. You know, if you're in massage, it's like which massage?
Right.
I know of more than one.
Yeah.
So
They're out there.
dirty minds. But anyway,
Incognito mode.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
There you go. So you know, it's good advice, but it's shocking just how much poor advice is still out there.
Yeah.
So you know, so it's one of the classic things that SEOs used to do back in the day is that they would come in and they would type your domain into the search bar and say, "Look, you rank.
You rank.
Absolutely.
Number one. Number one."
Yeah, shysters. Yeah.
You know, and I still believe it happens today.
Yeah.
So, but there's nothing wrong with actually having a unique brand. And we work with a finance company, and he had worked with another marketing company, and they had helped him choose, you know, a nice looking brand identity and that sort of stuff. But it was generic. So it was fairly generic. I won't mention the name, but anyway, we came up with a unique name for him, something that he was already using on LinkedIn. And like overnight, he was ranking number 1 on his brand related research. You know, it was where before he had a fairly generic sounding multiple competitors in that space. And he was nowhere. But as soon as he tweaked over what he was talking about on LinkedIn, his social thing, immediately he was getting a brand number 1, 2, and 3 search. And that's important for him. Brand search is very, very important. Right. Is that a lot of people use brand navigation. So, you know, so therefore having a differentiated brand, being unique, your lawyers like you as well from a trademark point of view.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's, but it does work and it's super cheap.
Yeah.
You know, if you're starting out, you're a new startup, you've reached out to a consultant, is like, you know, how can I get ranked? Is the first place to start is with domain choice.
Yeah.
You know, and naming, and you know, and the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago and right now. So plant that tree now with a good brand choice, you know.
Hey Jim, I think you wanted to Did you want to ask some questions around, since we're still at this tactical level, because I think it's helpful. Favicons, I think were something that you guys had talked about when you were doing some of the prep.
Yeah, that was one of Seamus's aha
Oh, okay.
moments. Yeah, give us your thoughts on that.
Okay, well, I think you coined it so beautifully. It's like it's the tiniest but most powerful image on your website. So the favicon is, to explain to people that don't know what it is, it's that tiny little image that appears on the browser tab bar, but another real powerful place it appears now is in AI search. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't, so this might be the only thing that people will know that you have contributed to that AI answer. Okay. So if when the next time, and everybody that's listening to this, every time they do an AI search now, they are going to be primed to see it. But subliminally, you are seeing it, regardless of whether I've primed you to do it or not, is that designing a powerful and impactful favicon is important. It has always been important since it went into the browser tabs, but it's even more now important for AI search, because that might be the only thing that the user will see. And if you can increase the frequency of your brand shows to people, you will create a greater likelihood of them choosing you, because it's what advertisers have been doing since, I don't know, since the cavemen,
Right,
I think.
yeah, subliminal, yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's cheap, it's tactical, and to get a well-designed favicon is a work of art.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, we have a great one. Kelly designed a great one for Invisible Online with.
Yeah. It was our team. It wasn't me. Yeah. I wish I'm not quite that creative, but yeah, it was our team.
That's true.
Yeah, but it was good. And so you also alluded to, you talked about it a little bit earlier. You called it UCG, which is user generated content. And I've heard you say, and I think we've said it a couple of times here, that people don't trust marketers; they trust other people. So how can they use user-generated content like reviews, like testimonials, to build the kind of trust that matters, I would say, in AI search, but also in general? And because I like telling stories, I'll tell you another interesting story that had to do with my daughter. I think we were all trying to figure out TikTok. And with TikTok, we were trying to figure out, I think, John, you asked the question, like, do people go to TikTok to search? And I was like, I don't think they do, John. And you're like, no, I think they do. And I was like, well, okay, we'll test the audience of one. I don't know if you guys talk to your millennials, but
mine hasn't been home for a few days. So.
I asked Perplexity instead.
Yeah, exactly. And so anyway, so I was like, hey, so talk me. In fact, she was telling me she bought something else off of TikTok. I was like, so walk me through that process, please. How does that work? And I was like, are you going to TikTok saying I'm interested in a product, and then the product comes to you? Or are you just scrolling, looking at content, and the product comes to you? And she said it could be either for her. And so it could be, she was like, so for this particular one, it was in her scroll. And so, but what was interesting to me was the next step. So she had something that she felt like she wanted. The algorithm knows her, because we didn't talk about speech too much, but the algorithm's listening to her speech searches, and all of a sudden, some acrylic, I can't make this up, some acrylic dog crates came into her feed that fit the aesthetic for her 3 dogs. And she's like, I gotta have it. And so then she's like, so the next thing I do is to go to make sure that it's a good product, because I don't recognize the brand, right? So there is a brand recognition, but she goes to search the brand. I was like, did you go to the website? Nope, I did not. I went to TikTok and I put in that description, and then I looked to see what other people had to say about it. And then if enough, and I'm looking for good and bad reviews, I'm just looking to see if it's going to be a good purchase for me or not. She never went to the website. Never did. Like she went through TikTok Shop, and that's how she went about buying it.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was interesting because I don't know that I think I would have visited at least the website if it was something I'm not familiar with. But I guess I do that in Amazon all the time. People think they're in Amazon, but you're actually in somebody's shop within Amazon, right?
In the marketplace,
Yeah. But anyway.
I would say, look, UGC is, the voice of your audience or the voice of your prospects, the voice of your customers, just voices out there. And, now there's a whole bunch of those that are being faked by AI. I'm sorry, but it's true.
Right.
Google and a lot of the other AI companies, they can spot their own content. If anybody can spot AI content, it'd be reasonable that an AI might be able to spot it. So they look for a number of signals. Is that do you know Danny Sullivan? Danny Sullivan, he's Google's search liaison, right? When Danny talks, everybody should listen. He's been through with Google search. I've been fortunate enough to work with him in the past, but is that he's a brilliant guy. He's now Google search liaison. There's lots more stories I can tell about him in the nicest possible way.
Future episode.
He helped discover Google. So put it that way. So he goes back a long way with Google. So when Danny was saying, are you familiar with EEAT? Yeah. So experience, expertise, authority, and trust. Okay. So, and this is Google's sort of protocol for finding good content. Now, Danny said just recently, I believe I'm quoting him correctly, he said, you don't find EEAT on your web pages. EEAT is found outside of your web page. UGC is a classic example of that, right? Is that it's a signal to Google. And just as I was saying, Bing looks for signals from social, Google looks for signals about, what universities you do? Are you a university? Are you a professional? Have you got a LinkedIn profile? All these types of things, and many, many more, and stuff we know about and stuff we might not know about. But but these are signals to Google or to AI search that you are who you say you are. Right? And so UGC, user generated content, is very, very powerful signal. And the more authentic it is, the more you can foster that through pictures and that sort of stuff, is that these are good signals that, as long as they are good signals, and that's why if you get bad signals about you, you should do something about it. Absolutely. You should reach out to people, try and put that right, at least put your side of the story on there, You
reminded me of a saying one of my clients had told me a while ago, where they said, your brand really is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And it's been that way, for centuries.
Forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to Why Your Business is Invisible Online. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do us a favor and subscribe and follow us on Spotify and Apple. Be sure to share it with other business owners who might find it helpful. If you want to dig deeper, contact us at ruinvisibleonline.com. That's capital letter R, capital letter U, followed by invisibleonline.com. Or message us on our LinkedIn business profile with the same title, Are You Invisible Online? The information shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and may or may not reflect the official policy or position of WSI Corporate. Always consult a qualified digital marketing expert before making significant changes to your online strategy. Until next time, keep connecting with the people who matter most to your business and join us for our next episode.